Part B says how many milliliters of a 10,000 ppm copper 2 plus are needed to make 500 milliliters of solution that is 1,000 ppm. So I really like this problem because it's just an M1V1 problem. So M1V1 equals M2V2. How do I know it's M1V2? M1V1 equals M2V2. It's because I have two concentrations and one volume. So if that's the case, I just have to plug everything in. Our M1 our V1, we don't know. Our M2 is 1,000 ppm, and our V2 is 500 milliliters. So because it's asking how many milliliters of our more concentrated solution do we need to make this more dilute solution that consists of 500 milliliters and 1,000 ppm. So now I just got to plug everything in. I'm looking for V1, and if I just divide M2V2 by M1, I can solve for V1. And the reason why I don't have to convert anything is because I'm looking for milliliters, and both my concentrations are the exact same, so they'll cancel, and I'll be left with just milliliters. So I will just need to pull out 50 milliliters of our more concentrated solution and dilute it to 500 milliliters to make the new concentration of 1,000 ppm. The question is, how many grams of copper sulfate pentahydrate should be dissolved in a volume of 500 milliliters to make 8 millimolar of copper 2 plus? So this one we're going to have to go backwards because we're not starting with a solution, we're starting with what we want to create. So we want a solution that is 8 millimolar of copper 2 plus. So I can rewrite millimolar to be millimoles per liter of solution. And if I wanted to convert millimoles to moles, I would just need to divide by 1,000 because there are 1,000 millimoles per every mole. All right, so now I have moles and I have moles over liter. So now I have just molarity. I'm going to then need to get rid of the liters on the bottom and be left with just moles, because in order to figure out the grams, we need to have just moles. If there's liters involved, it won't be accurate. So if I multiply that by the volume, so 500 milliliters converted to liters is just 500 divided by 1,000. Because there are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. So I want to get rid of the liters on the top by multiplying it by 0.5 liters. And that way those liters are going to be canceled. And I'm left with just moles of Cu2+. Now I have 0.004 moles of Cu2+. It's asking for how many grams of the copper sulfate pentahydrate should be dissolved to make this solution. Well, how many moles of copper are in every mole of copper sulfate pentahydrate? So essentially I'm looking for the number that's behind it, and since there's no number, it's just a 1-to-1 ratio. So I have 1 mole of CuSO4 per every 1 mole of Cu2+. That will cancel this out, and we're left with copper sulfate pentahydrate. If I'm trying to figure out grams, I'm just going to multiply it by the molecular mass,